Assalamualaikum and good morning to Madam Munirah. My name is Aqil bin Muhammad Anwar and my group member is FATIN, NASUHA and KHUSSILATUL ROSIE. Today I'm going to present to you about COVID-19 vaccine. So we choose the vaccine Sinovac vaccine for COVID-19. Okay, so firstly, I will explain to you about the background of the product, which is we use Sinovac vaccine. So the product description is Coronavac COVID-19 vaccine based on inactivated pathogen made by growing the whole virus in a lab and then killing it. So Coronavac is a two-dose which is contain aluminum hydroxide adjuvanted vaccine administered on a 14 to 28 day schedule to prevent COVID-19. So basically, the Sinovac need 14 to 28 day to completely the dose into our body. So on June 4, 2021, state Coronavac will significantly contribute to the global fight against COVID-19 as a safe and moderately effective, such as SARS-CoV-2 vaccine, says Murad Akova, a clinical researcher in infectious disease at Hacettepe University in Ankara. So the target of the product is to substantially increase population immunity globally to protect people everywhere from disease and protect the health system, fully restart our economies, and restore the health of society and lower the risk of a new variants. So when should someone use the product? As we know, health workers at high risk of exposure and older people should be prioritized for vaccination. And and the product is recommended for persons with comorbidities that have been identified as increasing the risk of severe COVID-19, including obesity, cardiovascular disease, and respiratory disease. So WHO, which is World Health Organization, recommends the use of the Sinovac Coronavac COVID-19 vaccine in pregnant women when the benefits of vaccination to the pregnant woman outweigh the potential risk. So how does the product work? So with two doses of vaccine administered at an interval of 14 days had an efficiency of 51% against symptomatic SARS-CoV-2 infection, 100% against severe COVID-19, and 100% against hospitalization starting 14 days after receiving the second dose.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Fatina Binti RAHMAN. So I will explain about how the product is produced. The recombinant vaccines are made through genetic engineering, but Sinovac are inactivated vaccine. An inactivated vaccine uses a strain of virus that have been killed by heat or chemical. This allows the nucleic acid of the virus to be destroyed, while keeping the viral antigen intact. That version of the virus is then injected into the body. The researchers grow large stock of the coronavirus in monkey kidney cell. Then they dose the virus with a chemical called beta-propiolactone. The compound disables the coronavirus by bonding to their genes. The inactivated coronavirus could no longer replicate, but their protein, including spike, remain intact. Inactivated vaccines are the earliest type of the vaccine to be produced, and they do not longer trigger an immune response that is as strong as the triggered by live vaccine. Inactivated vaccines also do not offer lifelong immunity and need to topping up over time, but they may cause fewer side effects than live vaccine.
So for the next advantages and limitation of Sinovac, it's conducted by me, KHUSSILATUL BINTI NURHADI. So the advantage is Sinovac is suitable and recommended for persons with comorbidity that have been identified as increasing the risk of severe COVID-19. Secondly, it have the efficacy rate of 50.4% for preventing symptomatic infection according to data from a Brazilian trial, and an effectiveness of 67% according to a real-world study in Chile. Limitation of Sinovac. Vaccine Sinovac should not be taken by persons with age under 18 years old. But for pregnant and lactating mother, more advantage is given internationally. Is Sinovac a safe vaccine? Yes, because the WHO Strategic Advisory Group of Experts on Immunization, such as SAGE, has analyzed the safety data for Sinovac and approved the vaccine. The Hong Kong Expert Committee has approved Sinovac for people for the period of 3 years old. Safety monitoring is ongoing, and a large number of inactivated vaccines have now been given worldwide, especially in China.
And then issues that may arise from the product and how we can resolve the issues. So firstly, issues that may arise from the product is the COVID-19 pandemic is unlikely to end until there is a global rollout of vaccines that protect against severe disease and preferably drive herd immunity. So how we can resolve the issue is firstly we need to ensuring continued development of safe and effective vaccines, such as maintaining strong and sensible R&D incentive, running coordinated clinical trials, and monitoring effectiveness during and after vaccine deployment. And then the second step is we need to supplying and disseminating the vaccine around the world, such as ensuring equitable vaccine access globally and manufacturing sufficient quantities and maintaining supply chain capacity. And lastly, deploying the vaccine within countries. For example, safely and securely transporting and delivering vaccines, determining fair vaccine allocation, and adapting clinical and health research system. So, if we completely use this step, um, maybe we can successful global vaccination campaign against COVID-19.
So this is our reference.